Monday morning, episode 25, bright and early. Gotta run in to get my first client today, and I've got another assessment. Yes! So, fingers crossed. That's another client looking to onboard this week, which would be very exciting. I'm really excited to be getting back on the gym floor. I really am. It's been a nice little distraction focus, honestly, and I feel like it's almost allowed my brain to have the rest and the space to breathe, to actually figure out the problems that I was ruminating on some of my other projects for a little bit. So yeah, it's nice to follow that intuition sometimes and to feel very calm about where it's taking you. I think it's very easy sometimes to feel like there's a side quest calling that might not need your attention, but usually if they call for long enough, or if something pops up around the same time as something is developing, it's interesting to see if that might support. I don't know. I think it's very interesting how these stories of ours come together. Hey, and that when you look backwards, you can kind of see where the different intersections were of things taking a turn. But when you're in it, sometimes it doesn't always feel like that's the turning point, or that's the, I don't know, little micro movements that are just suddenly set you on a completely different trajectory. You know, it doesn't always take much. I think sometimes we're waiting for this big smack in the face or this big thing. I know I was for a long time. And I think that was something that was making me actually push my goals further away, was that I was expecting this. I don't fully know what I was expecting, but it was expecting a spectacle, I guess, and expecting it to feel so different to what I feel now. And I think that's one of those biggest keys as well, right? When we're always chasing, when we're always pushing, when we're always striving for something more, we are constantly moving that little flagpole back a little bit every so often, huh? And it's just, it's easy. It's easy to get caught up in that, and then nothing is ever enough. Oh, I heard something over the weekend that, you know, when you hear those things and your body has that visceral response and you're just like, oh, yeah, I know. Like, you know, when you've something's been explained in a certain way and your mind just goes, I had one of those over the weekend around something that I'd learned in Vipassana, and it makes me laugh that it kind of came back up now because I heard it on a YouTube video, but I'd recently applied for a 1 day sit at the Vipassana Center in Hong Kong. I've had to change that. I'm going to do it another month. I hadn't realized they'd sent me a little online form back and I'd missed the little deadline, so I'll apply for the next one. But when I did my Vipassana sit, so Vipassana is a 10-day silent meditation, if anyone out there hasn't heard of it. I love how I'm talking to my big wide audience while I'm sat here in my living room drinking tea with myself. But it was I love those 10 days anyway. And the entire kind of practice of the teaching is to experience impermanence within the body, so that you have that very visceral feeling of nothing being permanent. And you feel it a lot. I think it's day 4 or 5 where you do a determined sit, and it's the first time they expect you to sit for an hour without moving at all, like without shifting, without shuffling. And it's called a determined sit for a reason, especially when it comes to the pain and the numbness that you start to feel within your body, or like if your leg goes dead or anything. And it's to remind you that the time will run out, you know, that you are safe, it's not going anywhere. The pain might feel like a certain kind of way, but your leg is fine. You're just sat in this position and the time runs out. And I was quite impressed with myself that first session. I managed to do the 1 hour sit. I was so close to moving, and there was just something in my brain that was like, your legs are fine, your knee is fine, like feel into the numbness. Because I think while you're also sitting there, you're staying aware of the breath. That's a big part of the Vipassana training. And then you're sort of body scanning to kind of feel different sensations around the body in a circular motion. It's very interesting, very fascinating. that kind of wasn't what I wanted to talk about. But at the end of every night, you get to watch a video or a Discord that the main guy has filmed back in 1991. What I loved about those videos was that everything was still true to the day that I'd done it in 2019. And I'm sure even to this day, when you look at the Vipassana teachings, like everything still remains true at the root of its foundational teaching, which I love because it means it passed the test of time instead of it being a fad or a gimmick or a tactic in any way. And there was something interesting that started to happen around day 3 or day 4. It's like whatever lesson we were learning in the Discord in the evening, I had kind of come to that sort of conclusion throughout the day's meditation. So it was interesting to see how that unfolded. But one of the biggest lessons is about attachment and detaching yourself from attachments. And that the more attachments that we have, the more suffering that we endure in this life. And the more that we can, take ourselves back and detach from these things, the more that we can actually experience bigger emotions and pure love and light and life, by not allowing ourselves to get so bogged down with attachments. And I remember thinking at one point, I was like, but if we're so detached from everything, aren't we just going to feel numb? And it was a day or two after that it kind of just hit me, where it's like, actually, the opposite is true. Because you aren't attached and because you aren't trying to force these expectations onto things, which again is usually where suffering occurs. It's like what you expected versus what actually came in, and the gap between is how much suffering you incur. And for that to kind of hit me during that experience, it's been a big part of my practice, and it's been a big part of my learning to zoom out and not allow myself to get so caught up in everything that I'm doing and get so attached and again make it so heavy that I'm the one that's actually pulling it down and not allowing it to stay light and have life breathed into it. But the thing that I heard over the weekend that hit me the same was one of the guys was talking about pushing. And when you are somebody that's passionate about stuff, you are building, you are pushing, you are striving, you're always doing, there's always more to do. I mean, when you get into this entrepreneur space or this creator space, that there is always more to do. There is always something to do. There is always more that can be done. There is always more to be done. Like, that list is never ending. And it's then allowing yourself to figure out how to compartmentalize that so it doesn't drown you. But the thing that this gentleman had said was that it was around pushing again, and the fear that he had was that if he stopped pushing, he wouldn't get anywhere. And he just went, and the opposite is true. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that it was that same teaching of attachments and feeling numb and feeling like you won't care about anything, when actually giving yourself fully to the process and detaching fully from the outcome is one of the truest and one of the most alive ways to live. And so I just wanted to bring that to you guys today, because it completely busted, I feel like, any last little bit of this forcefulness that I felt with any of my work. And I just went, stop pushing. It's that same when I had that moment with letting go, right? There's these things that you do sometimes where it's like, I'm trying to let go, I'm trying to do all of this. It's like, stop trying, just let go. I think we like to think that so much of what we need to do is a doing action, when so much of what we need to do is just is being action. And I just loved that. It was that push, and yeah, I don't know. I felt another weight lift off my shoulders again, and it was just glorious. So I wanted to bring that to you guys today. And I would love to hear if anybody out there has done a Vipassana as well and done a sit. And if you do any meditation, again, recently, it was, when was it? I think it was March. I joined a little Telegram meditation group that Danny Miranda had put together for like 75 days, and we all had to meditate for 75 days, and my target was 45 minutes. And it was nice to get back into those longer sits again, because it's easy to forget. It's always easy to pull ourselves out of these routines that keep us connected and keep us grounded, and reminding ourselves to have that time to be bored, to have that time to play. But something that I loved about that sort of coincided with the pushing thing was that another thing that a mentor had said as well about, so many people, they want to be building their businesses and learning how to scale, but they're scaling into a life that they haven't even built. Like, what hobbies do you have? I was notoriously bad at this, and I'm still working on it. Like, giving myself time to do things that aren't business. Because at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but a goal of mine, I want my business to be the least impressive thing about me. Like, it's going to be impressive, but if I'm scaling myself out of a business to have all this free time to do what, I need to figure out what hobbies and free time things I want to do. And I think that's also becomes that like be, do, have sort of 1, 2, 3 that has to happen, where if your entire business is your entire life, no wonder why it takes up your entire life. You allow it to take up every waking second and every waking moment. And, go grow a plant, go paint a picture, go find a hobby, find hobbies. Something I love about my husband. He always finds things to tinker with. He always finds things to do. He's always learning something. He's always developing a skill. And it's like those, it's funny, his hobbies could be looked at as productive procrastination, because everything he's doing or learning is a sport or a skill or it all ties into things that will help down the line for whatever projects or life will come at us. But it just, yeah, blows my mind. It had been one of the hardest things to fight with, and I think it's still an ongoing thing, where life outside of work, I don't know, when you've never really experienced it or never really had it, it's hard to sometimes imagine, but you've got to start putting yourself into these situations and into these rooms where you're not always working. And you're able to find things where you can also create for the sake of creating, and, just, I don't know, be in life, doing life. But yeah, that push one, man, that struck a chord. If I don't keep pushing, I'll never get anywhere. No, stop pushing. And you may actually find you're suddenly pulled to what it is that you're drawn to when you allow yourself to stop pushing. The pushing comes with so many shoulds and so much forcefulness that it's hard to decipher what's yours and what's not. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck in the cycle of, this is what I should be doing, this is what it should look like, this is supposed to be fun, and no, it's not working. And it's like, yeah, because you just wrapped it around all the wrong things again. Let life pull you in the direction you're meant to go. Think about it like draining a pool. It's not forced, it just drains. All right, wish me luck out there. This is a quick cup of tea episode, and I'm excited to chat to you guys tomorrow.